Welcome to Colmy Group's PMO Foundation solution for Planview AdaptiveWork. AdaptiveWork is endlessly flexible and capable of supporting complex business processes with ease. However, this very flexibility can make a software implementation feel like a daunting task. Where do I even start? And then once my team is off and running with the tool, where do I go from here? We are here to set you up for success and guide you through your journey. We've designed this comprehensive package targeting the most commonly requested PMO business processes, which provides key project governance and PMO oversight for a solid start. We will work with your team to tailor these processes to your organization's specific needs. Let's review what this package includes. Here is a high-level overview of what comes with the PMO Foundation package. The succeeding slides will include additional details that I will not speak on specifically, so feel free to pause the video as we review each slide. We will ensure correct setup of your AdaptiveWork instance and set over 200 system settings according to best practice for a PMO use case. This system setup includes single sign-on and user provisioning setup in collaboration with your IT team, as well as connection to common document repositories like Box, Google, or SharePoint. Our PMO package comes with profiles to support the most common PMO roles. Each profile will have a homepage with quick links to get them right to what's important based on their role, and can even be branded to your company's colors. We will enable your team on how permissions are used to manage a user's visibility into certain projects. For example, whether they should see sensitive projects or projects from another business unit. We will also enable your admin team on how to create and manage portfolios and programs, as well as set up automation to sort your projects in their respective program and/or portfolios during the project lifecycle. Here are the items related to project work that come with the PMO Foundation package. Let's roll into the demo to see these items in action. I have logged in as a project manager and landed on the home page. We can see the company branding and quick links to key areas relating to my role. Let's kick off the project lifecycle by submitting an intake form. This is the first of many forms that comes with our Foundation package. We have displayed the most commonly requested data points on the form to start, but we will tailor these forms to suit your organization's needs. This ensures you are capturing the required data at each step of the lifecycle. Now I'm going to give my project a descriptive name. Then I will input my project description. For project type, I'm going to choose administration. We'll see what this field does in a minute. And next is designating the project manager. It has defaulted to my user because I am submitting the form, but I can choose another person in the system if I need to. The next field is start date. We can see that it's defaulting to today's date. However, I can choose a date in the future as required. For committed date, it doesn't have a red asterisk here, meaning it's not a required field, so I'm going to leave it blank. Next, we can choose our project template. A template is created by an administrator and it acts as a framework for my project. It has preset milestones and tasks to reduce the amount of work required for drafting my initial project plan. Today, I'm going to use this project manager demo template. We can also choose to attach a file to this new project. I'm going to go ahead and add a sample document. Now we filled out the form, let's click OK to submit. The system is creating my new project, it's updating the fields I inputted, applying that project template, and attaching my new file. The success message will appear in a moment at the top with a hyperlink to my new project. Okay, let's get our bearings on the screen for just a moment. Here by the project title is the property card, which can be thought of as a quick information card. I can see my project type, my project manager, and description have been updated. I can see this is a requested project here designated by the state. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit to the work plan. I can see there are multiple milestones. This came from the project template, and when I open up a milestone, I can see the tasks housed under it with their respective duration and effort estimates. Lastly, in the related menu on the right, I can see the sample document that I attached to my project as well as an automated email notification to the PMO. This does include a hyperlink to the project. At this point, project intake is considered complete, so we will move on now to scoring and prioritization. This next step button here will guide me through the lifecycle. It will always display the next step to complete. I'll open my scoring form by clicking Score My Project. Again, we've added the most commonly requested fields on our form for demonstration. I will quickly input my responses here. Now that I've scored my project, I will need to submit it for approval to the PMO by clicking Submit for Approval. I'm going to check yes that I'm ready for review and add a justification to my project. I have the option to designate a commit level here. Once I've submitted this form, the project manager can no longer make edits to the scoring criteria. I can see here another automated email went out to the PMO letting them know my project is ready for review. They can click again on the hyperlink to take them directly to the project. At this point, I have completed my obligations with project scoring, and now I await PMO decision. The Next Step button now provides the PM a reminder that their project is in review and awaiting approval. Now let's take a look at the PMO Manager role for a minute. I have a list here of all project requests awaiting decision. I can view the final score and the individual responses made on the scoring form. From here, I can choose a project to be approved. I will click this Governance Decision button, and then I'm going to select Approve and leave some comments to the project manager. Then click OK to submit my decision. Let's go back to my project now and see what changes were made. I can see another automated email was sent out letting the project manager know that the project has been approved and it's updated to the draft state. And then here are those comments that were made on that form originally. Now let's roll into project activation, which can go a few different ways depending on the resource management method you're looking to implement. If your team will incorporate resource managers or an equivalent role, they can review your team's availability within AdaptiveWork. On this capacity planning module, we have the option to see our available project managers and their availability over time. We can see that Anne is pretty much booked and Anthony has a little bit of room, whereas my name here, which is the user I'm working as today, has a lot of availability. So let's go ahead and choose that person as our project manager and go back to our project. So once I've determined the available resource, I can assign a project manager by selecting the Activate Project button. I already have the proper user designated in the project manager field, and then I'm just going to populate some overall summary notes. And click OK to officially activate my project. Another email notification has gone out to that project manager. Let's see what that looks like. With a link to the project and a mention of the new project manager and the comments that were made on that overall summary field here. This concludes the project activation phase. Let's go ahead and work through the project lifecycle now. Okay, so looking at the work plan, at this point as a project manager, I can make any necessary tweaks to my work plan by either adding or removing tasks here within a milestone. And then I also have the option of updating effort of a task if required. So instead of 1 day, let's say this is going to take 5 days, I can input that. And we can see in the change from my start date to my due date here that it pushed it out 5 days. I'm not going to dive too deeply into the work plan management today in this video. However, just be aware there will be training on this functionality as part of the PMO Foundation package. Once my work plan is complete, I'm going to go ahead and add my resources. I've added my resources. And then for this first task, I'm going to add my person as the resource that is going to be completing the review SAO task. I also have the option of copying a cell and pasting it down to additional values. So if a resource is going to be completing multiple activities, I can use copy paste to quickly input that data. So Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our project budget. So I've assigned my resource to a few of these tasks. Let's scroll up to our View Navigator and see our financials. There are endless ways to generate your project budget based on your organization's needs, but in this demonstration, my budget is generated by the number of hours a resource is assigned on a task times their cost rate. So we can see here that my resource is assigned 2 hours to the review SAO task, and it's calculating a budgeted cost of $200. So I know that my name here has a budgeted or a cost rate of $100 per hour. And we can see here as well that for the same user for 1 hour is $100. And then for a 40-hour task would equal $4,000 for the budgeted costs. I will not demonstrate in this video, but there is an option to track budgeted and actual costs of non-labor resources, such as contractor costs, materials, subscriptions, travel, and so on. Once my resources have been assigned and I've reviewed my initial budget, I'm going to now take a quick baseline of my project. By scrolling down to my work plan, selecting utilities, and then save as baseline. The system saved the work plan and key data to be referenced later. If I navigate over to my baseline scheduling view here, a month or two from now, I can see how my current work plan looks compared to the initial baseline. Now I'm going to work through my assigned tasks and report time as I complete these items. I can either report time in my timesheets module located here, or within the work plan, I can select a certain task and click on my common menu, report time. Let's go ahead and add 1 hour and some comments about what I did. When I submit this time entry, we will see that there are aggregated time entries that appear on the related menu here. As all of my resources report time, I can see a list of them here with the date it was reported, the amount of time, and the comments to capture what the time was reported against. Now let's go ahead and progress to the next phase of my project. I will scroll to the top and select this Next Step button to progress to planning. This is a custom form giving me the option to record scope creep and or submit a change request. For this first gate, I'm going to leave it blank and move on to the next phase. Now we can see the phase has progressed to planning, and I can continue working on my project and completing any of my planning phase activities. I'm now going to go ahead and record a few rate items. I'm going to go ahead and add a risk right here by clicking Add Risk and including a name and then a description, as well as inputting an impact. Let's say my organization uses 1 through 5. This has a big impact, and then include a response plan. And then click Save. Now I'm going to add an action item here. Let's say I'm going to order vital equipment. And I can designate a due date and when that needs to be completed, and then click Save. We can see a list of them here as they're added. This list will continue to grow, so I can see all of the rate items that are associated to this project. Let's go ahead and fast forward a bit and say we've been working on the project plan, my resources are reporting their time, and we're marking items complete in the project as we're finished. So let's go ahead and say this entire initiation, milestones complete, we're finished with the initiation phase and we're on to planning. So let's say we're completing our planning activities and we're ready to move on to implementation. So what we can do is we can go ahead and mark this milestone closed as well, and then click the next step to move on to implementation. This time, let's say we need to capture some scope creep. The vital equipment I needed to order is going to take longer to ship than anticipated. So I'm going to click yes for scope creep and then add a description of the scope creep. So I just said the vital equipment is on back order and my schedule may be impacted. I'm not going to submit a change request just yet. We're going to continue to monitor it, but I'll click next to move forward. We can see that my phase has updated to implementation, and then when I scroll down to my discussions, we can see a new message is posted. This is where the scope creep is identified, letting us know that that was in the planning phase, and then it includes the description I provided on that form about what the scope creep entails. Now let's move on to the weekly status report. I'm going to scroll back to the top again and select Actions, Status Report Update. This is the next custom form that comes with the Foundation package. Again, customizable to suit your organization's needs. I'll begin by filling out the presented fields, providing my executive overview of the project, give as many details as I need, and then I have a few options to log certain statuses. So my overall project status, how my project scope is going, my schedule status might be at risk right now depending on that risk I have, that scope creep I have logged about the vital equipment. Let's say my budget status is on track, resource status is good, and maybe risk status could be at risk as well. Next, I have the option to log what I accomplished in the last reporting period, and then what I plan to accomplish. Once I'm ready to submit, I can click OK. Okay, so the success message tells me my notes were captured, and I can also access this information later by clicking more information and seeing the status panel here. Let's go ahead and generate my one-click status report now. I've updated my status, so let's go ahead and generate that status report. I'm going to click Actions again and click Publish Slides. This published slides is going to take a template file I have in my system. This is already a slide publisher status report. It's a template file inputted in the system by an admin, and it's asking me for a file name. It's just defaulting to the project name, but I'll go ahead and append it to today's date so I know that this status update or status slide is relevant to today's date. And click Next. So the system is taking that template file I mentioned, it's looking at my project, and it's mapping the data to the slide. So once the file is done being created, we can open it up and see what that looks like. Okay, we can see the project manager name was populated as well as my project due date. It's pulling in the percent complete, which is calculated by those milestones I've been marking complete. We can see these status values here marked green and amber, as well as the executive summary and recent accomplishments and planned items I inputted on that status report. We can also see it's logging the open milestones and closed milestones that I had within my work plan. And lastly, it's pulling in the risks that I applied on my project. All right, let's briefly review the reporting functionality of AdaptiveWork. Here's the example of an executive dashboard that details the status of projects across the organization. Your team will receive training on how to use the 100+ system reports and even create your own, as well as your own dashboards in the future. Okay, let's go ahead and go back to my project and move on to the closing phase now. I'm going to click Move to Closing. This time we're going to submit a change request. That scope creep I identified previously about the vital equipment is now a sure thing. It's definitely going to be changing my schedule. So let's go ahead and add a description. Okay, and then click the toggle down here to submit a change request and click Next. A new form has popped up called Change Request Details. I'm going to input the details of this change request and submit. So it's relating to the project I'm on right now. It has a scope creep change request title. I'll just put schedule delay so that I know specifically what this is referring to. And then it pulled in that description. I have the option to add additional text if I want. And then it was submitted by me. I'll leave it assigned to me, and then I can add a due date. Here in the related menu, I can see that change request that was created along with my project. At this point, I will manually manage this change request either through updating the data points here on the property card collaborate with my team via discussions, like that, or even use the related menu to add relevant items such as sending emails, maybe a file relating to my change request, and then maybe some notes or additional work items to track the execution of this change request. Okay, so once I've finished managing this, I can go ahead and mark it, let's say, closed. I can go ahead and just mark it closed, just signifying that I'm done with this change request, it's processed. And then I'm just going to close this tab that I'm in and return to my project. Now let's fast forward to the end of my project. I'm ready to officially close it out. So I will click the Next Step button that says Close Out Project. This is the final custom form and can be used to remind project managers to complete key closing activities, whether it's to verify financial closure with the finance team or maybe log some lessons learned in a text box. So for this one, I'll go ahead and log my actual end date. I can choose a date in the future that, or in the past, if I'm sending this a couple days late, to designate when my project closed, and click OK. All right, in this point, we can see that the state is marked as complete. The next step button shows that my project is complete and my project lifecycle is showing closed. A few other quick items. My entire work plan will mark itself as closed, showing that we're finished with this project. And then lastly, my risks and not action items, but my risks, issues, and requests are marked closed automatically by the closeout process. This does conclude the end of the project lifecycle demo. To ensure your team can independently manage and evolve the tool post-implementation, we include comprehensive training on key out-of-the-box functionality and front-end administration. To ensure your organization's long-term success with AdaptiveWork, we include an administrative handover session and documentation on your final solution, as well as practical tips for ongoing system management. Additionally, we provide tailored end-user training resources focused on day-to-day operations. These materials can be customized to incorporate your organization's specific policies and procedures. If you're interested in learning more about the PMO Foundation package or any of our other services, please reach out to our sales team or review our website for more details. Thanks for watching.